Nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. Good morning, mushrooms, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers, sisters, mothers, misters, and to all my cousins out there around the world, it's time to plug in and let's get this train chugging. A lot of meat on the bones today. Trump launches a potential super spreader event in the sprint to win re-election. Or in a sprint to win re-election. Yes, because it is a race to the finish. Good morning, Zdenek. An election is a race to the finish line, and whoever comes out ahead, whoever arrives at that finish line first, in a way, is the winner. If it was a marathon starting 2 years ago, more or less, now we're into the final sprint, the race to the end. Let's learn more in the caption below. Trump behaved as though the deadly pandemic was a memory, just a memory in front of a packed-in crowd, even with chilling new warnings about the resurgent coronavirus. Ooh, yes, as though. I love this little two-word phrase. You have as if or as though, and it's just nice, fancy ways of saying like. He behaved like the deadly pandemic, blah, blah, blah. If you're looking to make your writing or your speech sound a little bit more formal, instead of just saying like, and he was like this, and I was like that, and we're all like, oh my god. Stop using or overusing like. Throw in a few as-ifs and as-those when we're talking about something not exactly true, but it was similar to. Packed in crowd. Yes, the crowd were just packed in there, pushed in there like a backpack that's bursting at its seams because you have too many socks and towels and hoodies and other things in there. They were packed in like tuna in a can. Just kidding, like sardines in a can. So the saying goes, because with tuna are enormous fish. It's only a little bit of meat from each fish that goes in the can. Packed in like sardines. Even with chilling new warnings about the resurgent coronavirus. Yes, it is going. Ooh, this is an adjective here. We often see this verb almost daily on the show. The surge, it's surging. The virus numbers are surging, layoffs are surging, etc. And then, of course, we've got surge again. And so there's going to be a resurgence as a noun, but here, resurgent coronavirus as an adjective. First time we've actually seen them and had resurgent as a guest on the show. Thank you, Zdenek. Appreciate it. Let's move on. J&J, halt! A vaccine trial after an unexplained illness. Yes, they have halted their vaccine trials with the virus. It's trial and error. These first recipients are, in fact, lab rats or guinea pigs to see if it works or what other unintended side effects, unexplained illness, it might have. To halt something means to stop it, to bring it to an end, to cease it. Yeah, that's about it. Moving on. Microsoft has taken down a massive hacking operation. Well, here we've got a nice hypothetical with a model could have affected, but it won't. Why? Because Microsoft took them down. Who are them? The massive hacking operation. Who's behind it? We don't know. Or we haven't read the article yet. The answer might be inside. Massive just means huge. And if you take someone down, it's like they're up and operating with impunity, and then you take them down. And if they're on the ground, that means they're not functioning. That's basically it. Let's move on. A number of GOP senators, those are the Republican senators, are distancing themselves from Trump. Oh, no. You're over there, buddy boy. I'm over here. I do not want to be associated with those things that you say and do. They may have supported him throughout his 4-year tenure thus far. However, they're starting to realize with the supposed blue wave or the resurgence of the Democrats, to use some vocabulary from above, that it might not be wise to tie their horse to that cart, and so now they're pretending that they were never so close and buddy-buddy to begin with. Alright, now Europe is reporting more daily infections than India. That's not good. Has it squandered the COVID-19 lessons that were learned from the Asia Pacific? Because it's not going so badly there. However, to squander the lessons, yes, to squander something is to fail to use it in an effective or appropriate fashion. We squander daily. Netflix, squandering time, buying silly things off of Amazon. Prime Day starts today. Squandering money, just throwing it away, not making the most of it, not taking advantage of it. Yes, there were lots of lessons about how to deal with this in an effective, appropriate fashion. However, we're just not paying attention and throwing it by the side, squandering the opportunity to squash the virus. You can't really squash it, it's too small. But, alright, of course, lots of testimony, talk, lots of talking, and we don't have the time to watch all of it or read through all of it, so they have distilled it, they have boiled it down and condensed it into 5 key takeaways, 5 key points that you can put in your pocket to understand exactly what went on in the first hearings. Let's move on to Bangladesh. It is going to allow the death penalty for convicted rapists. And I forgot to highlight the convicted, but people are charged with a crime. They are prosecuted for a crime, and if they are found guilty, they are convicted of the crime, and then usually sentenced to prison. However, Bangladesh will be sentencing them to death. That's right, they're going to be executing people, convicted rapists. Now, if somebody truly is a rapist, sure, chop their heads off as far as I'm concerned. However, as we well know, the court systems are imperfect and humans are fallible, and so you could see a lot of innocent people being killed by the government for no reason. That's why most developed countries have outlawed the death penalty or banned or prohibited the death penalty, if not just put the penalty actually on hold. And that's why in the US we have people sitting on death row, as we say. They're waiting in a row, in a line, in a queue to die. Meanwhile, costing the taxpayers like 50 grand a year to feed them and keep them safe in a prison, etc. Parts of Europe prepared to take drastic action. If you're taking drastic, it's very extreme action with extreme consequences, and I believe they're alluding to re-locking down society and closing things. A tourist returns stolen artifacts to Pompeii after suffering from a curse for 15 years. Apparently, this tourist stole some ancient artifacts, maybe some pottery or something along those lines from Pompeii, and has been suffering from some evil magic for 15 years. And terrible things have been happening to this person, much like the supposed curse of the tomb of Tutankhamun. For the people that opened that, then several of them died in the coming years, and there's always been this sort of theory or rumor that there was a curse, evil magic, some voodoo, that will have a negative effect for disturbing the dead and stealing their stuff, apparently. Yeah, so a curse, to put a curse on somebody, to use some magic against them to have negative effects. Curses are always bad. They're not good. Alright, Princeton will pay nearly $1.5 million to professors in a discrimination settlement. So it did not go to court, but they have settled on a solution out of court, and that solution has a monetary value, as it so often does. And to discriminate against somebody means to treat them unfairly as compared to others, and it could be an individual or a group of individuals, usually based on their gender, religion, ethnic or racial background, etc. I don't know, is it ageism because the professors are too old and they're trying to push them out? Or, I don't know, read the article and let me know. Moving on. Regretful Trump voters, not A, we've got a plural here. Regretful Trump voters are saying or admitting, sorry guys, I got it wrong, I screwed up, my bad. If you regret something, it means that you feel bad about something that you have done, or something that you did, we could say. And if you feel bad about it and you wish that you could undo it, reverse time and the course of history, yeah, then you're feeling full of regret. You're regretting your actions. Alright, here we got a peek inside a potential Biden cabinet. Now, we're not talking about a cabinet where you keep your clothes or your socks or other things along those lines. The cabinet is the group of people who are the official advisors to the president. For example, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of Commerce, the Secretary. I don't know how many there are nowadays, 15, 20 different secretaries in the president's cabinet. And they're giving us a peek inside of it, a quick look in what it might look like if he is, in fact, elected. So they're making guesses. Sure, educated guesses, but guesses nonetheless. Guesses nonetheless. Moving on. How to reach out in the time of COVID. Yes, we reach out to people for help when we need it, or at least we should. And we reach out to someone for help. That's the most appropriate way or the most common usage of the phrasal verb. In case you need help, or maybe the other person, you think somebody else might be suffering psychologically, and how to reach out to them in order to help them. Remember when Maggie Cheung enraptured audiences with her colorful cheongsams? No, I don't, as a matter of fact. Well, rapture is extreme ecstasy, joy, and pleasure. And so to enrapture somebody is to give them rapture. And so these people were enraptured. They're, oh my God, it's so amazing, it's so beautiful. I love her cheongsams. And I had to look at this a few times because I thought it said cheongasms, but it has nothing to do with orgasms. Cheongsams are those sort of dresses, but I finally figured that out from the picture which accompanied the article. It does look like a nice piece of attire. She had very nice outfits. I wouldn't say that I was enraptured, however, I did enjoy it. Let's move on to stars, astronomy, and spaghetti. Astronomers witnessed the spaghettification of a star shredded by a black hole. This is a wonderful, wonderful word invented by physicists and astrophysicists about the way that a star is ripped apart as it's going into a black hole. It crosses the event horizon. You may have seen Spaghettification, and I do believe some cartoons, maybe The Simpsons or Futurama, I don't really know, but yeah, you get stretched out really long and thin like a piece of spaghetti. And so we take spaghetti, add an ify, meaning to make it into that, like we can do with so many different things, like intense, intensify, to make more intense. And then let's turn it into a noun, spaghettify, spaghettification. Wow, a star that has been shredded by a black hole. We've seen shredded a few times on the show, and early in the morning I often forget to bring things up here to demonstrate what I mean. This is a shredder. I remembered it this morning. We use it to grate or shred cheese, and so you could also call it a grater because it's great. No, it's a great grater or a shredder, and that's how you make shredded cheese. And so just like cheese going through the shredder, you get long, skinny little pieces, making it like spaghetti, I guess. I don't know. I just like the headline, and I had to talk about it. Moving on. Space is becoming too crowded, said the Rocket Lab CEO. This has been on the headlines for ages now. This is the first time that I am addressing it, and why I've been looking for the right reason to do it, because there's no great language here, but it's becoming too crowded. As a prefix, instead of just saying too, space crowded, what's the prefix we could use here, meaning too much? Well, that would be over. It's becoming overcrowded. Just like maybe that super cool club, it's too crowded, it's overcrowded. In the famous quote of the late baseball player Yogi Berra, nobody goes there anymore, it's too crowded. Alright, let's move on. The pandemic is driving a boom in investments to fix the climate crisis. To drive something means to make it happen, to push it forward. You're pushing on the accelerator, which causes it to move forward. And forward is progress. And so the pandemic is driving a boom in investments, an explosion in investments, a dramatic increase in investments. Moving on. The basketball season is done, and how LeBron James stacks up against baseball's greats. And I forgot to highlight the against here, but it is a three-part phrasal verb to stack up against somebody. When we're comparing two things, we can put them into two different stacks, and if one stack is bigger, then it is the winner. And so how you stack up against something is it's just a colorful phrase we use for comparing two things. How you stack up against the competition, nothing too mind-blowing. Let's move on. Now, the other day we had to weigh in on a debate, to weigh in on a situation, which means to give your opinion, to maybe try and tip the scales or move the argument in that direction. But it's just a fancy, visual, beautiful phrase for giving your opinion, to weigh in on a debate. However, in this case, it's just to weigh on. Trump's troubles are weighing on Iowa Senate race. He has been associated with Trump and his platform, and his troubles are weighing on her. It's a heavy load to carry, a heavy burden to carry, a heavy weight to bear. If they're weighing on you, they're weighing you down. It's harder to walk forward, and especially uphill, and this is an uphill battle for them, and so it's holding her down, holding her back. What's weighing you down today? Just curious. But either way, whatever. Those were the headlines for today. Alright, for English Otherwise, that was breaking down the news. If you do like what we do, click the likes, follow, subscribes, bell icon so you don't miss a thing across the various platforms. But pass us along to a friend. I bet you know somebody out there who would dig what we do and could probably stand to spice up their vocabulary a little bit as well. And so if I don't see you tonight, I'll see you again in the morning. Have a beautiful start to your day, or end, depending where you are in the world. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Oh, it's breakfast time. Stop the stream.